And when they go there, they take out the anger on them.
So you think there is a
yeah,
racial...
There is that racial element in it as well. It's a thing of the past that was there, and is still continuing in a form of robberies.
White farms are being robbed and farmers murdered.
Not only do they kill, but the way they kill. They torture you.
Their victims claim that behind the farm attacks is racial hatred, stirred up by politicians.
We've been murdered for some time now. They are coming to take the land as well. And I think that's very hard to conclude that there's not a racist motive.
This is hate. This is political hate.
An hour's drive southwest of Muldersdrift, on the maize fields around Fockville, on May the 13th this year, nobody was scared away, and nobody's life was saved. "78-year-old Fani Engelbrecht didn't have time to call for help. When Fani and his wife Colleen didn't show up for Mother's Day lunch, his son Johan strolled 300 meters up the track to his parents' house to investigate.
When I came here, my dad's vehicle was standing here, like he was already back from church, nothing unusual. And I went into the house. As I entered into the wall here, there was a lot of blood lying on the floor here. And I immediately realized that something is wrong. This is the door that actually broke down to get to her study. And I found them lying there, tied together, next to each other.
Right here, tied together?
Yeah, they were tied. My dad was lying on his back. My mother was lying face down, hands tied behind her back. My dad had a big gaping hole like the size of a golf ball in his throat. There was a pool of blood here all over. When I touched him, he was cold already. My mother was lying face down, but she was still hot. But I couldn't feel a pulse. Their throats were slit. They were tortured here. I found an iron cord around my mother's neck. She was obviously, they tortured her. My dad always said, it's not if, it's when.
Did he?
Yeah, he knew it's coming. We all know it's coming. It's just a question of when.
You can build a prison around your house, but at some point you have to leave that prison and go out and farm. And that's where they get you.
In Australia, a double murder on a farm would be headline news for days. Not in South Africa. It's just too common an event.
My one neighbor, Hannes Kitching, and his wife, they were murdered about 6 months ago. Then there's Miss Simpson, Nikki Simpson. She was tortured, drilled through her knees and feet. Then there's Piet Higu, also a neighbor not far from here. He was shot. Karel Hall was shot. So in the last 10, 20 years in this area, I can name 20, 30 attacks, murders on farmers.
Plaasmoeder is Afrikaans for farm murders. On a hillside in Limpopo province, a private landowner has planted more than 2,000 crosses. Each one represents an individual murdered in a farm attack since 1994. 75 more crosses were added last year.
There's enough evidence that racism plays a big role, and there's enough evidence that political influences play a big role. There are reported cases where the murderers themselves have said that they were influenced by politics in the committing of these crimes. And secondly, even more concerning than that, is the political climate in South Africa.
At the end of almost every speech, he sings an old ANC war song, Kill the Boer, although that particular phrase has been banned as hate speech.
Shoot to kill, kill our, shoot to kill, Yamaza, pa, 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 tension.
Farmers like Johan Engelbrecht say the mere threat of expropriation has dramatically affected the market for private land. I mean, if you wanted to sell this farm now, would you get a good price for
Nothing. It's zero. It's worth zero.
Already?
We had several auctions in the last 2-3 weeks cancelled because there was no people interested in buying land. Why will you buy a farm and tomorrow the government's going to take it?
And who is going to buy a farm if living there endangers their lives? But the threat to farmers' lives is as great as ever. In the brief time we spent in South Africa, 7 people were murdered in farm attacks. Golden Mtika. He says he knows several gang members who've taken part in farm attacks.
Most often those crimes, they don't just end up being clean crimes. They end up killing the person as well.
Why?
So past ideology of saying, no, the farmers took our land for free, and when they go there, they take out the anger on them.
So you think there is a
yeah,
racial...
There is that racial element in it as well. It's a thing of the past that was there, and is still continuing in a form of robberies. And when they go there, they take out the anger on them.
So you think there is a racial...
There is that racial element in it as well. It's a thing of the past that was there, and is still continuing in a form of robberies. And when they go there, they take out the anger on them.
So you think there is a racial...
There is that racial element in it as well. It's a thing of the past that was there, and is still continuing in a form of robberies.